Welcome back to some professional Starcraft. Two of the best players from two different parts of the world. Both WCS contenders, both some of the best of their own respective races. Let me introduce you in the bottom left. From Team Liquid, it is Uthermal. And in the top right, it's a Trap. From Korea, the Protoss player. One of the Protoss Council. What I mean by the Protoss Council, I mean there are like 4 to 6 Protoss players that Artosis has at one point said were by far the best and amazing and we're going to win everything. It's like SOS, Zest, Classic, Trap, etc., etc. So he's one of the great council of people that will never win because Artosis thinks they will. And he's looking for a proxy ranks. But a WCS contender didn't have quite as big of a splash as I'm sure he would have hoped in 2018. Neither of these players did. But still, pulling home a lot of great games. PvT is, well, I'm actually still trying to learn how to play PvT in this new patch environment, the big balance patch at the end of 2018. I've seen mech. I've seen some mech. Some players, not just as like, oh, I'm way ahead, I can go mech, but my strategy is to go mech. Still a little different than it looks in other matchups. But you put on some early pressure, harass, and then you transition into a mech army composition. A lot of drilling claws, widow mines, upgraded cyclones, doing a lot of damage, especially against things like stalkers early on. Will we see mech? So Uthermal is... What is the nice way to put this? There are two types of Terrans. There are progressive Terrans, and then there are traditionalist Terrans. Progressive Terrans are the ones who are like, well, I'll just get a Ghost Academy before 3 bases. I'll get Liberator range before I need it. And then there are traditionalist Terrans who, if I cannot micro Medivacs, Marines, Marauders, and Siege Tanks, then what is the point of playing Terran? I will do that no matter what, all the time, incredibly well, but sometimes still lose. And we've definitely seen some games, a lot of the time in TVZ, where Uthermal, instead of switching to that late game army composition, leans on the Medivacs and the Marauders and the Marines for what some might say is far, far too long. But it makes for very entertaining games. Reaper does scout the Adept. A second Adept coming up. A little bit odd. Okay, can he get away? The Shade is coming to the side. Oh, this is a horror movie here. The other Adept is coming in. The other one getting close. He's got a grenade ready. The Reaper does heal. He escapes. There will be a sequel. Behind this, it is going to be Blink. Not a Trap. Blink, a very middle of the road. You can commit to a big attack. It's rarely used for it, but it's essentially used for aggressive defense. With Blink Stalkers, you have the ability to shut down drops. You have the ability to shut down Liberators and like Hellion run-bys, stuff like that. But you also haven't really committed to an army composition that's going to end the game. So it leaves you in a relatively safe place to take a third base, and then you kind of have to decide, am I going for splash damage? Am I going to try to deal head-on with the army with very cost-effective units, or am I going to go for brute force? And brute force, of course, is you just add on a bunch of gateways, a bunch of charge lots, and you stop caring about microing. In the words of, who was it? I forget who was talking about warping in Zealots. There's a beautiful clip. I think it was Drogo. What is the thought process when warping in charge lots? I'm gonna mess up the exact quote, but the quote is something on the lines of being asked, so why do you warp in charge lots when you might need army at home or something like that? It's like, charge lots, yeah, and that's about it. So that explains the top tier Protoss mindset. A Robo Bay is on the way. Was that scouted, though, by the harassing Viking? Yes. This is actually really important info. The Forge, the Robo Bay, and no third base as of yet. That means Trap is focused on putting together a strong army composition, whereas as opposed to getting a huge economy and trying to overwhelm, he's not going to leave himself vulnerable to direct attack, but he's also not going to have the leeway that a player on 3 bases has to get more tech or more infrastructure. He has to be really careful that he's not losing significant amounts of units early on for no reason. So a lot of Blink Stalkers. Is there a Prism on the way? No, it's actually 4 more gates. He's doubling down. Even more so. He had 3 going on 4. That's going to be 7 total. Is there a Warp Prism queued up behind this? An Observer gives maybe an opportunity for a blink. Did he notice the medevac? He did. Yeah, he's on the chase. The Widowmine escaped after taking a shot at a probe. Neither player just now is Uthermal taking his 3rd command center. He's building in his base. Trap slapping down his Nexus on the point. The Stalkers have moved to intercept. They don't see the medevac yet. But, I mean, there's only so many places it could go. Will Uthermal react? Yes. But he gets away. Quick reactions on both sides. And that means he knows the Stalkers are not here. They can't stop me now. They're actually coming back to engage the army head-on. Stalkers on both sides. So, if he handles this well, it's great. But it's real dicey. A handful of Stalkers in the main. He's already badly bruised the medevac. He has to be very careful with that. 1 volley should be enough to take it out. The tanks are unsieged, but single target damage is still solid. Medevac not going to be taken. Couple Stalkers go down. He's only lost a Stalker and Adept this game, and a couple probes. But Thermal Lance is nearly done. The Blink Stalker's still looking for an opportunity. Snipes the Observer. Going to make it a little bit harder for him to just skirt around the edges. Uthermal is working against a clock. He has not reinforced this push for a while. There are more and more warp-ins coming up. He had no... Wait, did he know it was at home? He saw the Robo Bay a while back. This was kind of a fake pressure, where unless he gets to the 3rd base and sieges up in a nasty position, it's just not... That's to make sure that Trap's not able to get, like, a bunch more tech, say, a Templar Archives. He's not feeling comfortable enough to get more upgrades. No, you have to keep warping in units because I might attack with this army, and you're not guaranteed to crush it quite yet. We don't stop. We don't stop for nothing here. Zerg out. Yeah, who knows what happened. Seems drama ensued, but blazing right past it. A scan in the main. The Stalkers are at the edge, but he catches one with the scan. Thank you to Wardy for sending out his replay pack to subscribers as well. So we're at a precarious time now. Neither player wants to commit too many units out on the map. But they can't give the other free rank. The Blink Stalkers must put on pressure. He's going to try to corner these units. Charge lot scouted out. The Blink comes in, looking for a snipe, but gets one. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, well, oh my god. So despite losing all that, he actually does get out with 1 medevac. Some of the random... No, Uthermal! A terrible rally point. Somehow this medevac lives. And that is the one saving grace, because it looks like it actually will kill some probes. He's going to take out the Zealot. That 1 medevac getting through, despite all those Marines dying, is putting him in an okay place. Decent scout. Pulls units back. Spots the Warp Prism. Army still stuck in the middle of the map. And he doesn't really want to... Oh, the drop. He held it in the corner for so long. And finally it comes in. Drops out the Marines. $11 probes have gone down. 12. That brings Trap only 47 probes. Neither player with a great economy. Well, right now, Uthermal has a great economy compared to Trap. The only thing Trap has, solid army. This is a very mobile amount of splash damage. He's got Templar, he's got Colossi, which compared to most armies, is actually pretty hard to keep together. The one thing that's harder to work with when it comes to mobility is siege tanks. Uthermal's army is 12 siege tanks, 42 marines. He lost all of his medevacs trying to do that counter-harassment. So he has to wait. Like, you can't have no medevacs. You need at least a couple medevacs. He's building 2 tanks at a time. So, this is a shaped tool here. Either the hammer hits the target or it doesn't. Because if he's off the target, he's going to have to wait so long before he can swing again. If these tanks are unsieged at the wrong angle, it's simply the game. Insane, a ridiculous amount of damage. There's no way Trap can attack into this. And you see how important it is to keep him busy, as he's using essentially all the medevacs he's building to send out drops. Oh, he's dragged the army back. 2-2 is on the way. Is this the opportunity? Uthermal's maxed out. It's time to go. It's time to go forward. Does he agree? I think he does. Here we go. He spotted the Colossi on the way back, gives it a scan, already preemptively. You have to be ahead of the army every time. You simply cannot have the tanks unsieged. You just can't. More observers spotting. A big charge lot warping into the main. This game is about to turn very, very sideways as both sides. Well, Trap, he rebuilt his probes, but this tank push is bearing down. Uthermal has lost his main right now. Like, some reinforcements are coming back. Is he scanning forward? Does he know where this is? A few more tanks to the side. What upgrades? +1 mech weapon. Still pretty solid. It's not like 3-3 or anything yet out of Trap. He's actually only at 1-2. The charge lots ripping through everything that comes out of the barracks and factories. The tanks continue to push forward. Trap is looking for an angle to engage. Nothing but charge lots and Archons can really get close to those when they're sieged up. More charge lots at the back. Plenty of Templar on the field. Tanks do outrange them in their potential storms. Thermal still being very patient with this push despite the situation. One tank picked off. Another one tucked in. Still more tanks. He's got 19 tanks on the field. The reinforcement. More tanks are coming back, but charge lots are pretty solid against them. More charge lots being warped in. They should be able to clean up the tanks, but this base is heavily exposed. The base will fall. Behind this, Uthermal's down to 44 SCVs. Some of them are out on the map helping the push. The Nexus is done. An important observer will spot he's continuing to move forward. The thing is, how does Trap fight the tanks? He's building Immortals. Finally, the Prism has been cleaned up. Does Uthermal bring everything to the front? There's another counterattack at gateway units. There are still 20 tanks. Oh my god. He's got a forward Setzer Tower, the Bronze League Heroes strat. The reinforcements are cut off. Tanks are sieged. He can target down the Stalkers. It looks like he will. The majority of the splash damage, incredibly vulnerable. He's about to cut off the circulation between the bases. Oh, storms. Oh, beautiful storms. All the Marines evaporate. In comes Trap. He's trying to get to the Bio Army. The Bio Army is so important in making sure those tanks are protected. Here comes Trap from just a single angle here. Warp Prism picked up. The charge lots are stuck behind. Storm's hitting home. The tank's still doing a lot of damage. Observer taken off. High ground vision is gone. Okay, he has one more observer. But he came in from just well, essentially from one side, which means the tanks could concentrate all their fire. The army supplies in favor of the Terran. It's now 2-3, plus 3 armor going to help out a lot with those charge lots. The tank push will continue. He's still got 13 tanks. He almost gave up his whole economy. He barely defended. It was a few seconds away from the Zealots just charging through the first 3 bases. Spots the Templar moving to the south. Moving to intercept with a handful of Marines. He should be able to pick off... Oh, body block with the blink! Beautiful play. Oh. Dodges the storm out. Dangerous armies from both sides. A scan looking for obs. He'll clean out the one he missed for much of this time. The counterattack. The problem with tank armies, you can't really split them. They grow exponentially in strength. If you split them too much, then they can just get picked apart. How many tanks? Oh my god. There are no Archons in the mix here. Uthermal continuing to bear down. It looks at this point like he's just going to give up his economy in favor of potentially just winning the game. The base trade is about to begin. The question is, how much is Trap trading? He's already taken out most of the economy of Uthermal. The boys are probably going to end up at the front. Oh, the tanks are moving up in kind of a vulnerable position. Oh, if he can get the Templar! Doesn't have the vision. A few more Templar at the front. Needs to split those Marines. There's a couple storms. No storms. He's not using the storms. He's microing at the front. The boys are all pulled. They should be going... Where are these boys going? Everybody needs to go forward. He needs to do as much damage as possible. Trap continues to warp in. A lot of his units are committed to clearing the main. The buildings are lifted. He's fully committed. There's 3 Colossi. I think he recalled them? Yes, he recalled them into the main base. The boys on a suicide mission. There's still some Templar at the front. He splits off a handful of Marines. Does he have a second storm on that? He doesn't yet. He doesn't have the energy yet. The tank's still so fearsome. He still has 13 of them. There will be no more production. These units from the main need to come back. Uthermal dipping in supply, but his army's still so scary. It looks like Trap should have enough to collapse. He just has so many Immortals. There's still Templar for Storm. But the siege tanks. Still, at this point, like, Uthermal is simply just moving too slow around the map. Like, oh no, oh no. Another storm, another storm. He tries to bait him in. There's no more building units for Uthermal. This has taken far too long to move forward. He's been far too careful. No minerals left. He's gonna land the orbital to block. Trap is just kind of expanding around. A Dark Shrine is chrono boosting DT Blink. How many orbitals are left? Just the one. The other detection is turrets. He's built a wall! He's built a wall! The tank's continuing to shell. There's not that many probes left. Trap still has income. The factories... But if Trap is able to snipe off the orbital... Is this it? Are we going? There's one tank at the back. The charge lots are coming forward. That tank will be isolated and killed. Trap has taken the high ground. Uthermal's gonna long distance drop mules. Oh, now he does not have scans. There are 12 Marines and 11 tanks. They're nearly less Marines than tanks. It's not a great scenario. Where are you gonna go? He's just... this is a technical knockout here. Like, what's your plan? What is your plan? Die to DTs. DT Blink is nearly done. There's still some turrets. This is not how you're supposed to wall off. He's killing his own stalkers to get any other units like DTs. Oh. Oh god. And the orbital. Oh, he just dropped a mule. Okay. Well, it's almost a hard wall. There's one little angle. He's building a bunker. He mined enough minerals to build it. Are you kidding? Oh my god. At some point, is there still an engineering bay? It feels more like spite than strategy now from Uthermal. But here comes Trap. The tanks are shelling. The Marines are all clustered up to the north. The Protoss army crushes through in what seemed to be for several minutes now an inevitable conclusion. What a confusing game. Tanks, an option, but really, that was weird. Oh, Jimmy, fix it. Jim will fix it. Moving on.